I honestly don't know what kind of obsession the author has, but he always manages to publish an episode right when there are 30 minutes left in my talk with my thesis advisor. Suddenly, those remaining 30 minutes turn into 30 hours until the conversation ends. But putting aside my third world ramblings, today's episode was actually exciting. I say that more because of the character interactions and that great ending, as well as the possibilities the episode raises with its release. It also gave me a bit of a laugh how, while the entire kingdom is dead set on trying to figure out who the hell Flora is, Emilia is in her own subplot of wanting to make as many friends as possible, which explains the thumbnail. But let's put the chatter aside and get started with this. Welcome to the analysis of Chapter 7 of Arc 10 of ReZero. Honestly, I don't know how Taipei pulls it off, but I'm really enjoying the interactions between Flora and Emilia. Throughout the chapter, both of them argue, and even if it doesn't seem like it, they have many things in common. Emilia was overprotected and locked up while growing up. Flora was too. Despite her physical appearance, Emilia actually has a younger mental age, one that according to Subaru would be similar to Felt's. And look, Flora, despite her appearance, essentially has the physical and mental age of Felt, just like Emilia. It's due to their upbringings that they don't have many friends, so as soon as Emilia suggested being friends, Flora gave her answer. But before giving her answer, she said something that surprised me in both a positive and negative way. Positive, because you can tell Flora also wants to get along with people. Her desire to talk to others seems genuine. She could be faking it, of course, but so far that's my impression of her. And it also surprised me negatively because for some reason, I've seen some followers of the series say that the way Subaru and Emilia relate to Flora is unnatural, that they aren't like that. And I ask myself, what kind of series are they watching? Subaru and Emilia are always open to socializing and interacting with people, so I don't see it as improbable that they'd be this friendly with Flora. Sure, I know the people saying this back it up with the logic that since in the game Melty controlled her victims with her power after touching them, they claim that since Flora already touched Emilia and Subaru, she's controlled them into being her friends, which seems stupid to me. I'm not denying the protagonists might already be controlled by her, but saying they'd only act like that due to the possible magical influence of Melty's power and not out of their own initiative, well, it's far-fetched for me. Something similar happened when Felix accepted Melty Healing Crush. I remember reading that some thought the only reason Felix agreed to Melty Healing Crush, despite what it implied for her candidacy, was because he was already controlled by the Saint. But again, it seems nonsensical to say that, because Felix was already totally demotivated and desperate, so I don't doubt he could have accepted that even knowing what it represented for Crush. I think people forget or underestimate the things Felix is willing to do for his candidate. In the past, he's shown he was willing to get his hands dirty if it's for Crush's well-being. Sure, he'd do it without her finding out, but personally, I see it as logical that Felix accepted the Saint's help even without her influence. And speaking of Melty, let me tell you something interesting about her. There was a revelation in Arc 9, a revelation that even if it hasn't been mentioned in the main novel, we readers know and can theorize based on. In the arc of Aldebaran's betrayal, it was revealed that a saint and a hero once existed who were consumed by their authority and went mad. It was confirmed that Hector was the first hero, but while the saint's identity was never officially stated, it was heavily implied that it could be Pandora. But the most important part is that currently, and there is someone saying they are close to becoming a saint. I'm talking about Flora. On top of that, when she talks about the spells she can perform as a saint, she mentions an interesting spell name, Sacrament. Apparently, this incantation was what Flora used to heal Crush from Capella's authority. But the most interesting thing is that this magic also shares a name with another spell that nobody knows, because it came out in Arc 8. And since everyone skipped from Arc 6 to Arc 9, well, you get it. I'm talking about the Sacrament of the Immortal King spell, the one that allows reviving the dead and was developed by Echidna, but which currently only Felix and the deceased Sphinx know. But why is this important? And what does Pandora have to do with this magic? It turns out that if we assume Pandora was the first saint, and if Flora, even without being a full saint yet, already knows a spell that starts with the name Sacrament, it's not far-fetched to believe that Pandora also knows Flora's spell, and possibly also knows how to use the other Sacrament spell, the Sacrament of the Immortal King. If Pandora knows how to cast it, that means we already have the answer to how the cult managed to revive Teresha and Kurgan after their deaths. They were revived by Pandora and her possible use of the Sacrament of the Immortal King on them. But leaving aside the most interesting bit of today, after this, we had more interactions between Emilia and Flora, which aren't interesting if you want lore, but are if you like seeing Emilia expressing herself with her yandere friend. In fact, I think the most interesting part of this section is Rem's reaction to Subaru when he starts talking about what he feels for Emilia. It's mentioned how Rem gets jealous that Subaru talks that way about the candidate. I think many people forget how the amnesiac Rem's relationship with Subaru has been evolving, but I wanted to add this because it seemed like a nice detail. Also, another interesting detail is how the work references the events of Arc 3, the events of Subaru making a fool of himself, and gives us a new perspective on what happened that day. With today's episode, we learn what Emilia's thoughts were regarding Subaru's stupid speech, and what she thought wasn't disgust or anger, but that she was just embarrassed by his words. And Rem also weighs in, thinking about what herself with memories would have thought in that moment. That reminds me that I'll soon be narrating a short where the story expands on what Rem thought of the spectacle Subaru made, and I know what I'm about to say will sound like a clickbait attempt, but I assure you that what Rem was thinking in that moment will surprise you. Later, Tiga arrives and introduces himself to the others, and by the way, manages to become friends with Subaru quickly. Honestly, this whole scene felt very familiar, and I didn't know why. It turns out that if it felt familiar, it was because according to some, the talk we saw today in the novel is very similar to how Subaru met Melty and Tiga. I'm seriously considering playing the game on my Spanish channel soon, but with the thesis absorbing every second of my life, it's tough. Getting back to the topic, Tiga always seemed like a cool character to me. The relationship he had with Subaru in the game is an equivalent to the relationship Julius could have had with Subaru if they hadn't fought in the first season. For now, the relationship between him and Subaru started very well, and hopefully it ends just as well. Ah yes, there's also a brief mention of Sakura, someone for whom I personally have high expectations, and I don't say that just because of her design. Though after saying that, you probably won't believe me at all. Also, it's revealed that the protagonist's next stop is to visit Crush. I have expectations for that meeting to see if we manage to spot something strange in the candidate, something that gives us a hint about an alleged manipulation of her. Lastly, Tiga's final words left me surprised. Basically, so him saying they are a year and a half late implies they are serious about starting Felora's campaign as a new royal candidate. Sure, that's the most likely thing he's referring to, although the author might be preparing another revelation, but I doubt it. Before I forget, there was something I wanted to mention, and I'm telling you this assuming that Subaru and Emilia have already been controlled by Melty's power. If they have been, there are two people who can notice their state. One isn't with them right now, and the other is someone who hasn't appeared in the main novel yet and has barely appeared in side novels. Let's start with the one you do know. I'm talking about Roswaal. In the game's Prophecy of the Throne route, there's an option for Roswaal to be the one to accompany you to meet Melty. And when he meets her, Melty controls Subaru with her power. But that act of magic doesn't go unnoticed by the Marquis, who quickly deduces its origin and its power, then exposes her. And Melty's campaign ends very, very quickly. Casually, if you remember, Roswaal at this point in the novel is at the kingdom's borders, and it doesn't seem like we'll have news of him for a good stretch of episodes. I can only say that now I understand why the author moved him away from the main group. He did it so that the fake candidate plot wouldn't end quickly, so keep an eye out for Roswaal's return to the main plot. The other person who can see and even detect if a power like Melty's is being used is someone whose method isn't made clear, but in the past, when Reinhard used the divine protection that allows him to control people, as there was someone, a member of the Six Tongues secret organization, who somehow noticed the fact and ran to inform his superior, Russell Fellow. He told him that someone from the Astria mansion had employed the power of a forbidden protection in the kingdom. This specific person was Belmont, a character who first appeared in Reinhard's novel and whose last appearance in the novel canon was when he helped Julius on his first mission as a royal knight. Yes, in that mission where Reinhard cross-dresses. But the most interesting part is that we know from the novels that divine protections are more powerful than the abilities of the members of the Evil Eye tribe, the same tribe Melty belonged to, and which Felora is suspected to belong to as well. If Belmont could detect Reinhard's divine protection, which in theory is superior to Felora's, then he could also detect if Felora uses her power on someone. But anyway, let's wait and see what the official explanation the novel gives in the main plot. Thanks for making it to this part of the video. Remember that a like and a comment help the video more than you can imagine, so consider leaving one to support the channel.